10 seconds remaining. 5 seconds remaining. Radiant team ban. Dire team ban.
Hello everybody and welcome to our one and only We Play America's Game of the Day. We've got EWolves versus EnemyGG. I am Llama Down Under and I'm going to be joined by the Wonder Cow. How you doing?
I'm doing very well. Thanks for having me here for this another replay match.
I'm pretty excited. Now this one, just in case folks don't know, there's a lot on the line for this. EWolves and Digital Chaos right now are tied with only one loss so far. The EWolves are sitting at 9-1, Digital Chaos sitting at 10-1. Whoever is top of the group goes through to the LAN. Literally only the games now played between teams and DC and EWolves matter. Like, everybody else can just stop playing except they have to play out their games versus DC and EWolves, because those two are the only two still in the running for this LAN position. I have to imagine EWolves feeling strong coming into this one because they have beaten EnemyGG a number of times before, but you never know.
Yeah, EnemyGG have taken a couple of wins against EWolves as recently as January and December, so it's not like they are, like in Dota Pit they did okay against EWolves. That I believe there was something back in December, I forget which tournament exactly it was, but you know, they have done this matchup quite a few times over the last about 4 or 5 months, at least since 6.86 came out. And like you said, EWolves probably coming in fairly confident, but EnemyGG certainly have a chance, especially in a best of one.
Yeah, and it's really just best of one, anything can happen, so you have to be really careful. Now, EWolves gonna open up with the OD, obviously Beastmaster, Void banned out, along with Earth Spirit and Lone Druid. I also forgot who won the coin flip, so I believe EWolves won since they're on Dire, but I'm not 100% sure, and they of course, yeah. But Enchantress is going to be what EnemyGG go with. Okay.
Yeah, the Enchantress pick may even be a deny. They don't actually run Enchantress that often, but EWolves do, right? And I'm also kind of... For EnemyGG, the OD has been their priority ban for the last 7 or 8 games that they've played, so I'm kind of interested by the fact that they just let them slide through this time.
Yeah, as you said, I think it's really just a case of they maybe thought they had a good way of dealing with the OD, or that the Beastmaster, something EWolves also excels with, would be more of a threat. So, Enchantress is going to be what EnemyGG have, and as you said, Smash plays this up the wazoo. Smash was drafting for a while and was drafting himself essentially a lineup to fit the Enchantress. We've all seen that before. The Ghost actually does something similar right now on Fire, so yeah, it just... We'll see what EnemyGG go with. There's still lots of strong things in the pool, though. Oracle available. Lots of people.
Yeah, Oracle's one of those heroes. I don't necessarily expect that we'll see it because EnemyGG don't really play the hero. But the Vengeful Spirit is still in the pool as well. As terms of support, she's the most popular hero in professional Dota right now. She gets picked more than anybody else. And if you do want her, grabbing her this stage is kind of necessary.
Go with the Dazzle. So, not decided to go the Enchantress Chen, which EWolves has actually been playing quite a bit recently. Hey, you know exactly what I'm talking about. You were there when EWolves pick up both the Enchantress and the Chen, and you're sitting there going, what on earth are you smoking? And they're like, well, forest. Either way. Mirana going to be the pickup for EWolves, so this is an easy combo, and it's a hero that Mystico is really comfortable on.
Yeah, this is actually, interestingly enough, the last time Enemy and EWolves matched up, the Mirana was a first ban for EnemyGG. So, if that gives you any indication of how much respect they have for Mirana in their opponent's hands, it's certainly not a hero that they wanted to see coming out.
I also think it's something... EWolves, when Complexity, they used to play EWolves a lot, and they used to have some trouble against them. And I remember there was a turning point when Complexity was qualifying for MDL, where Swindlemelon said, because we were casting some of the other MDL games together, he just says, look, you just gotta ban the Mirana. They can't. EWolves, like, they're really good, but if you ban the Mirana, you've got their number. And it being here with the easy OD setup now that this hero is super popular, it's scary.
And the nice thing about OD is, unlike some of the other setup potential in the game, OD is standard 4-second for prison duration throughout the game, so you don't have to have this shifting adjustment that you might have to have otherwise.
Dire team
Yeah,
bad.
it is a very brutal combo, especially for mid laners that are level dependent, like an Invoker who's not in vogue anymore since he got slapped by the nerf stick earlier this week. But up until very recently, right, that combination especially would hit an Invoker
10
quite hard because he
seconds
needs to be out and getting levels, getting last hits, which makes him extremely vulnerable to a rotation
5
into the mid
seconds
lane.
remaining.
And we've got, okay, Weaver ban out, interesting one. This is just another, I think, pointed ban from EnemyGG. And then also the Death Prophet ban out. For enemy mid laners, I mean, they've got options. Obviously, OD can generally be dominant. And I don't know how many games you've gotten to cost with after the Invoker nerfs.
10 seconds
But a lot of
remaining.
questions of how viable is Invoker still. He still does feel strong. Some people are
5
claiming in the
seconds
professional scene that they think he'll receive further nerfs from Ice Frog after this major. But I
Reserve
wonder, he
time.
might be considered balanced, and he is someone who can generally, as the levels progress, hold his own against an OD.
Yeah, so Invoker, I've, as you know, have done a lot of work analyzing how nerfs impact heroes and in statistical margins for success. What Invoker just took
Radiant
felt
team
much
hit.
more to me like a pub nerf than a pro nerf, intended to try and bring down some of the pub rate of Invoker. Invoker is a very difficult hero to balance between those two scenes because of the diversity the hero brings to the table in the professional scene. If he's at all viable, he's usually extremely viable. And similarly in the pub scene, because of the high skill cap for the hero at most
10
levels of
seconds
play,
remaining.
if he's not viable, he's extremely unviable. There's no
5
real
seconds
middle ground.
remaining.
So I think right now probably the changes that we're seeing are more
Dire
geared
team
toward
pick.
trying to bring those two together and then bring down universal clicks, like bringing down some stat gain or something like that. We will, I think, probably see a very small continued reduction for the Invoker when 687 comes out, whenever that is.
Yeah, and yeah, I have opinions. I think it'll be right after this major. Which, speaking of, only an hour and a half left. That starts, maybe less
10
now. I'm
seconds
excited.
remaining.
Either way, we've got this game to get through first best of one, folks. Hopefully it'll tide you over till then.
5
Razor
seconds
gonna be
remaining.
EnemyGG's pickup. Now, I'm assuming this is actually safe lane. It could be the mid, but against an OD, it's... I don't know how much this Razor will get out of the mid lane. And
Well, you do have a pretty good counter in the mid because you do have static link into Astral Imprisonment. So if you get the link off before Imprisonment goes, you continue to leech the damage, right? So that's kind of a deterrent to the excessive use of that Astral Imprisonment. But with the Mirana threat roaming, I do also kind of agree with you that Razor might find himself vulnerable in that phase. It really depends on the teamwork coming out of EWolves.
yeah, it's also gonna depend a lot. I mean, this Dazzle pickup, it makes a lot of sense from the standpoint of you want the Dazzle to be able to TP in throughout a shallow grave, save whoever is being gone on by EWolves. But that might not be enough defense, right? Astral Imprisonment will give you enough time generally to get the Dazzle TP'd in there, but Mirana can be landing 5-second arrows off of that, and then OD has a lot of damage, and of course, Dazzle, you know, shallow grave also only 5 seconds, so...
Yeah, Dazzle also not a particularly stellar roaming hero. OD, another one of these heroes that is extremely level and momentum dependent in the mid lane. You really want to get your OD off to a good start so that he can just thrash through the rest of the game. The Omni Knight, not surprising at all, coming out here. But for dealing with an OD, one of the more successful ways we've seen OD handled is by picking up an Earth Spirit and being very active with roaming on him so that he can't get that momentum and he kind of falls short when the mid game comes around. Dazzle's not a particularly good aggressive roamer. He can TP, like you mentioned, and throw out some heals or shallow grave, but in terms of getting kills, he doesn't have any hard CC, he's not particularly fast, he doesn't have a good range, so I think we need to see somebody who can rotate it on this OD early.
Yeah, and we've got a really nice, interesting, fun pickup here. I really enjoy seeing the Omni Knight coming out. Now, I just also wanted to say, folks, I see that you're saying I'm a bit quiet. Hopefully it is volume, sound levels better. You're fine, Wonder Cow, it's me. I had rotated my mic around a bit, so hopefully it's fixed now. And yeah, hopefully we'll be good to go. Omni Knight. This is something that's really, really popular in the Americas scene, run in the offlane generally. We've seen Smash do this before. Is a hero that can be good if he can get his levels, but you know, Juggernaut has some tools of maybe trying to push him out of lane, although of course Repel will help against that spin.
Yeah, the Juggernaut is going to give a lot of push alongside Enchantress and Razor as well. Razor really good at zoning out with AoE damage and using Eye of the Storm in order to achieve tower damage. Of course, you have the healing ward. Dazzle's not a bad pusher himself if he does have physical damage alongside his heals. And of course, Enchantress can get a creep army and go. So all those things put together, I think EnemyGG, their course of action here is just get on towers before OD and anybody else from EWolves can really get momentum, and then stall them out so that they just can't get ahead.
There's some scary stuff here, though, of course, being that Omni Knight can just throw up that Guardian Angel and suddenly the Omni Slash isn't so worrisome. Razor is a lot of physical damage because Eye of the Storm is also physical. Guardian Angel doesn't really care, it's just all physical damage. And now a Witch Doctor setup. Witch Doctor doesn't care about your untouchable Enchantress, so, yeah. Or, you know, Razor's natural tankiness to targeted spells.
Right, and he doesn't care about Unstable Current, and he doesn't really care about a lot, and he also has pretty decent sustain with the Voodoo Restoration. He happens to be the second most popular support this patch, behind Vengeful Spirit, and there's a very good reason for that, especially into heroes like Juggernaut.
So, next up for them, Batrider bans out, because that's the rules. Actually kind of interesting here. It is something that EWolves run a lot, but that would, I mean, I've seen them run the safe lane OD and then run the mid Batrider. It is certainly something that Van enjoys playing, but I was expecting this OD to be mid. So EnemyGG clearly have something else on their mind. And for EWolves, banning out another strong support looks to be the name of the game. Oh, okay, they're worried about the Chen Enchantress.
I think they're the only team in the world that worries about facing Chen Enchantress. Bounty Hunter is a weird pick here. Not because he doesn't provide a lot, he does in the Mirana. Obviously, you've got 3 relatively squishy targets to get track gold off of, but he doesn't contribute a ton to actual pushes. So if EnemyGG are trying to put a lot of eggs into the pushing basket, Bounty Hunter doesn't contribute very much to that.
Yeah, it could be that they're going to try to transition this more into winning small skirmishes. Certainly something Juggernaut and Razor can do. You know, you get off a good static link, you get off the Omni Slash. But as you said, this Bounty Hunter, his contributions are going to be interesting, to say the least, because it looks like everybody so far in EWolves just kind of beats him up, right? Unless he gets a lot of work done, probably does need to get a courier snipe. There's no one easy to harass, even if he follows Masoku around on that Mirana.
Yeah, I also would like to point out here that EWolves, when they are running the Mirana OD, they have not lost a game so far this patch. That now, throughout all of Pro Dota, it's been run 10 times this patch, and 8 of those 10 times have been wins. So it's obviously a very good combo, but on EWolves, it's yet to fail. Bristleback pairs with OD really well into mid game and late game because you don't have to worry about mana in addition. Bristleback has very spammable spells with Quill Spray and Mrs. Nasal Goo, and the Outworld Devourer's Essence Orb will just make him unstoppably sustained.
Yeah, this is a really nice combo. We hadn't touched on it too much, waiting for kind of the Lost Heroes to go out, but actually they're going to put Smash in the safe lane, really wanting to make sure he has a favorable matchup. And it's going to be Iwo on this farming Bristleback down to bottom, which is something, you know, he can Quill Spray through that spin, so the Juggernaut has to be careful.
Yes, I'm interested to see how much time the Mirana spends down here and how much time she spends rotating into mid. Bristleback is a very strong hero, especially with the potential heals from Witch Doctor. The 2 of these heroes alone should be able to go about toe-and-toe into a tri-lane, but I wouldn't expect them to get more out of this lane than their opponents necessarily, unless they get regular rotations and lane time from the Mirana.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of kill potential in all of EWolves lanes. NMEGG have a lot of work cut out for this bounty hunter. Speaking of work cut out for him, Flying Zebra already trying to be super sneaky. He started with an Orb of Venom, so he's gonna have good harass, but we'll see whether it'll pay off, because I really think a lot of it's gonna hinge on whether Flying Zebra has a good game. There's gonna be a static link coming out onto Van. They've got the slow, but oh, he's actually just going for the rune. He should be able to get it here. Manages to steal it. There is an Astral Imprisonment going out onto the Bounty Hunter. Arrow going to hit on Flying Zebra, and Frozen, he does have Shallow Grave, so he should be able to get Flying Zebra the save here, but the rest of them all coming in. Flying Zebra still not dead yet. They know that there's no leap on this Mirana. They're getting him very low. Masoku, now they have to edge into tower, and they're not gonna go for it. 4 in mid casually, and that should be the end of this skirmish. Oh, they're plotting happy trees. What were you saying?
I was just going to say, where is the second Sentry Ward for EWolves? They bought Sentry Wards here by MGod, right? And then one of them is missing. Was it already counter?
It's on Witch Doctor still.
Where's the other one?
Oh, it's down here.
Oh, okay, there you go. I'm really surprised they didn't put one mid. That's why I'm kind of shocked. Because the Bounty Hunter rotating onto Outworld Devourer, you would... I mean, this is one of the things Bounty Hunter does do, right? He shuts down mid laners really effectively, similarly to the way an Earth Spirit plays, by forcing a bottle run, any courier action to be halted down at the second tower, but also just by applying pressure. And normally you would see a sentry available here.
Yeah, I think they were maybe expecting the Witch Doctor to have an opportunity to rotate over there, but no such luck. And they've decided to run an aggro dual lane on enemy. This should give Banana Slam Jammer some really good farm up here. It's not as strong as maybe if they had 3, but I think they should be just fine farm on this Juggernaut. Now, taking a look around, Bounty Hunter Flying Zebra is trying to be sneaky here. Trying to get something done, but I'm not sure he can.
He did force Masoku out of the jungle already, and took away one of her clarities as well. So he was not able to get the courier because he was too busy, but he's going to rotate into this mid lane and just be a pain, and that's exactly what the OD does not want. So I think he's more or less doing his job, at least for now. We'll see if he gets caught out by another Astral Imprison stun and dies. If that happens, then the Bounty Hunter pick will have ended up not working out. But as long as he doesn't do that, so far he's hitting his objectives.
Slayer, Van getting very low here. They do have Static Link at the ready, but no Plasma Field. And that'll be the end of that. Masoku coming back in. Salve has been used by Van, so he can set up another Astral Imprisonment here if he's so inclined in 1 second. And he should be able to, if he finds one. Oh, okay, this arrow is going to be a little bit more difficult. Masoku actually going for it. It's going to hit Slayer. He has TP support coming in from the Dazzle. There's going to be a Shallow Grave if they need it, but instead Coconut's flying around. The Shallow Grave does come out onto Slayer. He has 49 stolen damage. Masoku, I don't think you can dive this. The lost auto attack, not quite enough, but it's going to be Juggernaut who goes down in top lane to the rotated Bristleback. The team fight we weren't even watching.
Yeah, the mano a mano up top ended up being more than I think either team expected there. Everybody focusing here down on the mid lane. Juggernaut's going to go right back into the lane and spin. BSJ not doing a lot of damage there. Not even getting many creeps with that, but it's free mana, so hey, why not?
Now, I'm a little bit... I shouldn't really say impressed. EWolves immediately responding and rotating, understanding that they want the Bristleback versus the Juggernaut. If you're enemy here, do you rotate as well?
I feel like if they were going to rotate, they would have rotated after the Juggernaut died and just TP'd him bottom, because that's the most cost-effective way to do it. So we'll see. Sovereign is getting forced out of lane as well. But, right, what you don't want to do is send BSJ back top with the TP, which costs you 100, right? And then rotate him back away from that lane again, maybe after death. Ewo is going to be rotated on by 3.
Yeah, he's got a spin going out. He's getting quite low, actually. These auto attacks should be enough, despite being a Bristleback. But look at these quills. Banana Slam Jammer, if he keeps chasing, may just go down. Ewo down to 10 health. He has TP rotations coming out. And this is going to be one Bristleback who gets away.
Wow. Skin of his teeth by the shell on his back.
That is really devastating if you were the lineup of enemy. That's meant to be your kind of for sure kill. You rotated so many heroes for that. And now they have to find business elsewhere.
Yeah, and meanwhile, while that is happening, the OD is starting to catch back up after having a pretty terrible first couple minutes in this lane.
Oh, they're giving it a go on top. They've got the spin already going out on MGod, and this one should be a kill finally for Banana Slam Jammer, so he gets himself on the board.
is under attack.
The Witch Doctor's not the Bristleback. It's not as high a priority target, but it is a much easier target, so you got to take what you can get. For BSJ, just getting back some of the gold that he lost when he died and gave up First Blood is a win. Let's see Van in the mid lane. He's going to be setting up for Masoku here any second now.
Yeah, that's actually what I wanted to talk about. This isn't a matchup we see a huge amount. Going ready. Wants an Astral Imprisonment, not going to find it. But Slayer is actually holding his own here in the mid lane so far. I mean, there has been a lot of support, making Van's life a little bit more difficult, but Slayer was supposed to walk back to base earlier.
Yeah, I think the Bounty Hunter, Flying Zebra, has really been doing a very good job of opening up space for for Slayer, excuse me. But also, because of the nature of Static Link, it's difficult for an OD to move on a Razor early and without support, right? And so it comes down to a lot of things. Oh, down bottom.
They're just gonna give it a go on the bottom lane. Arrow is coming in. Sovereign is gone. Pure damage coming out from both of them. So that'll be a quick kill there. Even the repel to make sure the untouchable isn't a problem. Now EWO taking a lot of damage on top. Banana Slam jam it. Nope. Turns out Shuriken bigger than your Bristleback. So he's gonna go down.
And scouting out M-God here as well. There it is. Yeah. He's gonna try.
He's just, I think, throwing out a little bit of harass. Flying Zebra already been involved in both kills from his side. Actually, as I said, a little bit of harass. He's actually doing mad work onto M-God, and they'll back it on out, but just with that Janata and the Orb of Venom.
Yeah. He also had a Shadow Walk, so if he had been able to get one more attack in, you can hit during the fade time of that Shadow Walk, and it doesn't undo it, so you can, at level 1 and level 2, you can actually get 2 Shadow Walk crits for one cast. So if M-God had gotten body blocked, or if he stutter stepped or anything there, he probably would have died from those 2 extra Shadow Walk attacks. He came very close.
Helping them out a lot, catching Banana Slam Jammer up to the Bristleback. Bristleback's still top farmer in the game, but he's being contested at least a little now.
Yes, he has died as well. So although he has the top blast hits, his net worth is not going to be quite as high as that would imply, although he is still on top net worth as well.
Now, we haven't talked too much about EWolves' game plan. Obviously, long drawn-out fights perfect for them because of the combinations that they have, but actually, this is really interesting. They have had Van just chilling, wanting to do some action on this bottom lane a bunch. Sovereign just backing on up, and it looks like we got tower dive in action on top. And Banana Slam Jammer has the spin at the ready. EWO taking a lot of creep damage under the tower. And that'll be it. And they still haven't gone on bottom yet.
This is not great use of Van's time, to be honest. They aren't doing much tower damage because they don't really have good pushers, like physical damage to structures heroes. And he was already...
Okay.
Oh, jeez.
They hit the long range there onto Sovereign. It doesn't matter whether you're using your time wisely. There's going to be pure damage off the wazoo. No, the Astral. Oh, the Sanity's Eclipse just comes out, and Untouchable doesn't save you from that. On top, a TP was cancelled, but it doesn't look like they're able to make anything of it on enemy.
So that helps. Obviously, it helps mitigate the cost of that long wait to engage there, but that whole time Slayer had a free lane, and he is almost caught up to the Bristleback in terms of last hits. His net worth is also almost caught up out of the mid lane. So there is an opportunity cost in being down here in addition to the actual cost of his own time.
Yeah, I think that there's a lot of...
God, this slow push is actually, they're just going to get it.
I don't know what to say here. This is really unusual. I mean, what we're both stumbling. Oh, okay, they caught out Flying Zebra with the dust there. There is going to be an arrow, manages to hit him on the other side of the tree. Now Flying Zebra with the heal bomb goes down. That's going to be the end of that. What I think both of us are a little bit posturing about saying is it's really unusual for a mid to just leave mid lane the way that Van did and give Slayer the free lane. Because yes, it's a Razor, but an early mech on that hero could destroy your future team fight. He's stolen 150, 160. He stops at 168 stolen damage, but he can't really chase the Bristleback there.
Yeah, fortunately, the passive Bristleback on the Bristleback helping to offset quite a bit of that risk.
Yeah, so I'm a little surprised, but getting the tower push, this is the most important tower of the game, and it makes it harder for the Enchantress to feel safe in that bottom jungle. So they'll have to put up a lot of defensive wards. Enchantress, giving it a go onto Smash, does already use the Purification, so he's now taking quite a bit, but all of these impetus attacks take a lot of damage, will take a lot of mana, and now Smash, he is walking it away, has another Purification. They are still chasing. They've got him in their sights. Flying Zebra having trouble catching up. He has another Shuriken in 1 second, but he has to get in range, and they get it with the impetus last hit. Sovereign doing some good work there.
Yeah, the repel doesn't help you when it pierces pure damage, right? So OD is going to come back to the mid lane and try to catch up a bit. They're actually probably going to try to get a kill on Frozen here. He's got the haste, so he can clear the distance pretty easy. Yeah. Oh, he sees the Razor and he thinks better of it.
Okay, Masoko actually getting really low here, thinking about turning around to throw an arrow, but instead leaps away. This is a very strange game. I'm just calling it that. This game is weird. I am now Enemy are doing the exact same thing that just happened. They're kind of abandoning top lane. Not a bad move up against the Bristleback, but it does feel like one where they could rotate someone up or at least pull the creeps off the tower. But instead, I think they'll take advantage of when that tower goes down as a safe lane to farm.
Enemy cannot be giving up this many towers this fast. So into an opponent squad that really have no innate tower push, right? They're good wave up to the tower fast, but in terms of knocking it down, each one of these towers has taken them like 30-35 seconds of just free time to bat away at it. This is Enemy are the team that drafted to push towers, and they are not doing that. They are being outclassed in every lane in that 1 degree. If they don't start to move forward soon, the OD is going to have enough tower gold to actually vault forward from that bad laning phase.
Now they do have a lineup that can be used more in team fights for Enemy. It just does feel like EWolves have a better one. EWolves going down bottom, trying to get some harass on. He already has a Vanguard up.
Yeah.
Flying Zephyr is coming around though, and they have Enchantress on the other side. Pure damage doesn't care too much about your tankiness. Let's see how Ewo taking a lot of damage. I think he's gonna fall. He may actually get the kill on Banana Slam Jammer first, though. One more Quill Spray, he'll get it. Tries to run back into Sovereign to reduce the amount of damage coming out from Impetus, but they do take it. Banana Slam Jammer in trade though, not so great, and now on mid, okay, they have to line it up. Here comes the arrow going through. Frozen manages to throw out the minus armor, also gets out a really early shallow grade, but the Sanity's eclipse. Frozen still running around, still alive. That all that helping out, but they have lost the Razor, and Frozen goes down too.
Yeah, so just the BSJ for Bristleback trade in the bottom, that's okay. It's not ideal because you want your carry to be getting some of that gold, but Enemy did get about 5 times as much gold across their team as the Bristleback did. But the fact that they had to invest so many heroes that they then lost the fight mid.
Oh
and
no! He did not cancel his TP, and he's just gonna fall.
I don't know why he was TPing in. I don't know why he was not TPing in on the tower exactly so that the arrow couldn't be predictive. Right? Because if you click the tower, physical tower, and TP in, it will put you in at a random location with your base touching the tower, which is 100% what you do against a Mirana. I don't know
Flying Zephyr going down, Arrow Purification, he'll be dead. It looks like Enemy making a couple mistakes, and now they're a little bit on tilt and uncomfortable.
Yeah,
and they just need to...
This is the slow descent into madness we're watching from Enemy.
I think they just need to back it on up, figure out what do they want. Do they want their Juggernaut to farm? Do they want him to go for that Battle Fury or Sand and Yasha? But instead, they've given away 4k gold, 1000 experience, and now EWolves posturing for Roche.
Yeah, there's a Mechanism and Arcane Boots on Smash on the Omni Knight. The Razor, who had such good mid-game, still doesn't even have a core item up. He got an Aquila and Bracer to give him a good laning phase potential. Presumably that will end up being turned into drums for the push, but it's coming out way slower than you would want, especially considering how long he had a free lane. This Enemy have just not been collapsing into action the way that I think their draft implies they would.
On the upside, they got a very early level 6 on the Bounty Hunter. He did make some good space. And if they can find some pickoffs, it's going to be hard to fight into this Bristleback, but maybe they can get an engagement without the Bristleback. They get mad work done.
They do have, right, the negative armor that comes out of the weave, and they have some tools to deal with the Bristleback. Bristleback doesn't deal particularly well with static link because he wants to be around the fight, right? He doesn't want to be forced out of the fight, but even so, with this much of an advantage, there's the track on Ewo. Moonlight Shadow is up, though. Looks like this fight is going to break down.
Well, as you say, it breaks down. It looks like Smash ready to wrap around. He is running into them, and suddenly EWolves, they do have 5. Smash probably going to open with a Purification. No, he just goes for the auto attack. Where's the arrow from Masoku? Banana Slam Jammer beginning with the spin. Purification does come out from Smash. And that'll be it. They are split on Enemy. Can they make anything happen here, taking advantage of their positioning? They saw Flying Zebra. They have to have seen Flying Zebra. They know where he is. He's going to get coconutted up here. He is in a lot of trouble, and yeah, he is going to fall. And now the chance of collapsing onto EWolves gone.
an early gem on the Mirana to just instigate. Granted that this bounty hunter is 0, 3, and 4, but I do feel like Flying Zebra has done a very good job of playing his role this game, of trying to open up space, of applying pressure, and it just, if they cut off that entire arm of the strategy with the bounty hunter trying to go out in open space and create track gold by playing into a gem, that just, it's going to be a lot more painful, I think, than on the surface it seems like it should, because bounty hunter doesn't look from the stats like he's been super integral to the successes from enemy, but in reality he has. I mean, he's assisted every kill.
Yeah, I think it's also really important to mention, as you said, EWolves have a lot of gold coming into them, obviously. They are quite far ahead at this point, but that's also big items. They have a mech out on their lineup. Smash is huge for an Omni Knight.
Yeah.
Right?
There's, I mean, just compare the items across the team. There's no completed, like, first level of item coming out from enemy across the entire team. Maybe drums. Okay, there's drums on the Enchantress. If you count that. That's like an early game tier 1 item, right? It's all for the entire team.
We have a TP rotation by Van. They do manage to get the tower. Van now taking some nice damage from the Impetus, while Banana Slam Jammer just TPs away. And he'll be out.
But yeah, for EWolves, they have Mechanism, they have their own set of drums, they have an entire Crimson Guard, not to mention Aegis and a Gem. They are, how far are they ahead? Wow, they are almost 7,500 net worth in the lead at 15 minutes. It hurts.
Okay, and Sovereign getting caught out of position, that also hurts. They're just gonna drop the ult for him and be blown up, and as you said, I don't know how enemy, even if they have all of their heroes, they're taking out Bristleback is going to be very difficult. He has almost 1,600 health right now. Yeah. There is just not a good solution to that amount of health on the Bristleback at 16 minutes in when your Juggernaut is rocking drums.
Yeah, they can catch him out with Eye of the Storm and with a Weave and hope that he gets over aggressive with the negative armor stacking up. That is a really, I could foresee that situation happening, especially from EWolves, as we know they're a team that do have trouble cinching wins even when they are in the lead. They have a tendency to taper out and make some maybe questionable decisions around that 25-30 minute mark. So enemy maybe play to the weaknesses of their opponent and shoot to start to come back into the game around then and lose as little as possible before then.
I don't know if it's enough. Like, it's the lead, you mentioned the lead, but this is the 500 gold per minute lead that we kind of talk about, right? That's a very, statistically, teams with that kind of lead, very low percentage have lost. And for enemy, they will need an overextension by EWolves, which doesn't seem to be coming. This Aegis should be expiring soon. There's less than a minute left on it, but this tower might be down by that time, and then enemy just wait for the next Aegis.
Right, yeah. This is maybe a defense they can make, but honestly, they have to get pretty lucky.
Okay, we're going to see the Static Storm, but the arrow manages to hit onto Slayer. Sovereign now no longer in that Astral Imprisonment, starting to pound out that pure damage. Let's see if Sovereign can get some impetus to run people away. Ew, barely taking any damage there. That raw HP doing so much work. And they do save the tower using the glyph. Banana Slam Jammer in the meantime gets top tower. Can they do anything else here for enemy? Flying Zebra throwing out those tracks. Whoa, he's gonna just play it safe. He does still have a good amount of that DD left. And look at this tower melt. Also to the damage coming out from Van. Let's see if they can put anything here. Banana Slam Jammer is working on the top, but it's looking like this rack's completely closed. They've got vision on the ground as well. Impetus again flying out an arrow. It's not gonna hit this time. Slayer has to try to do something here. He does not have static links for another 20 seconds. They haven't done good damage onto the racks though. And now it's looking like Banana Slam Jammer. He is still poking away at it. The Invis is popped. The Moonlit Shadow's not out yet, but oh gosh, Slayer, he's taking a lot of pure damage coming out here. He has Eye of the Storm active. They've gotten the top tower by Banana Slam Jammer. He's TP'd home and now ready with the Omni Slash. They managed to dust up Masoku and track him, but Iwo coming back in now. Again, getting ready to have a Sand at the making. They need to clear up these cleats so Banana Slam Jammer can get something done. He has level 2 ult, will be the first Omni Slash of the game if they can just get it off. But Iwo standing in the middle of the Banana Slam Jammer now spinning, trying to get rid of some of these creeps, but Iwo just standing there and taking it in the death ward from Mystico. Very questionable. Iwo is low. This is the chance. Banana Slam Jammer, you gotta get off that Omni Slash, but he can't gap close. Even with the drums. And they're gonna be out on EWolves.
That was about as...
Oh my gosh. Banana Slam Jammer almost got the range tracks in top.
Very nice.
Van denies it!
At least
Another okay, I'm sorry. You were saying one decal. Sorry, I've got a little
no,
excited.
this is. It looks like they're about to re-engage, so I'm hesitant to go into a lengthy point here. Flying Zebra, thinking about it. He's hovering. Whole team is hovering here.
Okay, they pop the drums, they're going for it, but Omni Slam jamming. He does have the Omni Slam at the ready, but he uses the spin. Masoku's still not dead yet. Can they find someone here? There it is, the Omni Slice they needed, but immediately the Crimson God doing so much work. Will they even get this Mirana? Yes, they finally bring somebody down, and that's the gem. That's a big kill for them as well, with the Tractor's TP out from Mystico. Gonna make him out, but that is a huge win for Enemy.
Yeah.
Poof.
So even before that fight and that exchange where the gold lead started to swing back, you had mentioned this is the point where we start to see a very low percentage win, and you're right, at about that level of economic lead at this stage in the game, you're looking at about a 90% win rate for the team in EWolves' position. That's across all team compositions. But when you look at experience, the fact that they've been grouped up to get that gold lead, and it does come from towers and not as much from kills and CS, it tells a different story. You're looking at actually in the 60s for the percentage of win rate for Elite Wolves. So there are two tales here. One of them being Elite Wolves getting high momentum, but momentum coming at the cost of experience lead that they can't necessarily catch up later. And this is, I think, a big part of the EWolves overall playbook that ends up costing them so many games in the late portions. They fall behind in experience, and then they taper off. They can't take fights, like they just had trouble taking a fight in bottom.
Yeah, just not making not getting the objectives fast enough, as you said. And Banana Slam Jammer, yes, it was a ranged Rex. Sure, it was denied by Van. That is still a huge bounty for all of Enemy, especially for their position in the game.
Yeah.
So they just got a lot more space, and if they can buy themselves time, I don't think, Jug is a good hero. He will be able to dish out more damage as this game goes forward, as is Enchantress and Eraser.
Yeah, and the other thing to keep in mind with that range barracks is not all about the bounty and the control that gives you, but just the fact that when creeps come up onto this high ground for the rest of the game, they will guaranteedly target the melee barracks. A big part of actually getting that melee barracks down sometimes is getting your damn creeps to focus on it instead of focusing on the range barracks. So now, anytime creeps push up into that base, they are going to be guaranteedly focusing on that melee barracks, applying more pressure. If they have the range barracks up there, it would be easier for Elite Wolves to sort of manipulate the game into a situation where they have a co-push and they don't have to worry as much about that lane.
Now, for Elite Wolves, they're going to add a little bit of pressure back down, maybe wanting to get a ranged Rax of their own. The Roche is also a very short respawn timer, so they're going in. Tracks are flying around. Impetus from Sovereign. The worst part about this, he's got the Dragon Laws, but it still takes so much for him to throw it. And another DD on Ewo, just casually getting all of these for the push. Healed all the way back up with the Purification. Now we're going to see a static blink, but Slayer already taking so much damage from the pure damage of Van, and Sovereign caught out, being blown up. Can he get away? Shallow Grave immediately comes out. Astral Imprisonment used on just one. But they've got that range back. Banana Slam Jammer is in their base, though. I do not know how that's going down. There's going to be a TP rotation in. He only got a little bit of damage on it, but it has forced the rotation out. It's going to be the Bristleback who TP's back for it. Tracks flying out in this bottom lane. Banana Slam Jammer is back. Can he get up an Omni Slash? Slayer, though, in a lot of trouble in the Death Ward.
Oh.
He's going to... Oh, no, he's in the high ground.
Wow.
I can't see him, so their bounces are not there. Smash going to be taking a lot of damage. Banana Slam Jammer looking for... He goes for the spin, actually, really wanting to make sure he's not Astral Imprisoned or anything. It's going to be the Smash that they Astral Imprisoned, but now he gets up a Heal Bomb. Another Shallow Grave coming out of Frozen. Smash throws out that GA so that he no longer can take physical damage, but pure damage doesn't care about that. They get the Mirana. Can they find Van here? Ewo, it's been so long that he's coming back around. And goodness gracious, will they find anything here? Ewo is incredibly tanky. We've been over this. This guy's sitting at almost 2k health. Slayer taking a lot of damage here. He manages to not die, but does finally go down there. And now Van taking damage himself. The pure damage. One more hit. They managed to bring down the big boss. Ewo, he is isolated. He is going to go down, and it's looking like Flying Zebra not going to go with him. And Wondercow, please analyze that fight because I desperately need a drink.
the way that ended up shaking down, just the herding techniques that Enemy were using in that fight to keep the Bristleback away from the rest of his team and make sure that they were targeting out vulnerable moments to sweep away EWolves heroes, ended up just, they radically outplayed EWolves in that fight, I think. And the fact that the Bristlebacks hung around for so long, even if it was just him and the Enchantress at that point, because of the Untouchable being maxed out here, I'm not sure Bristleback can actually just walk up and take Enchantress without a double damage rune. So he maybe had eyes bigger than his stomach, but most importantly from all of that, those kills are worth so much more than the tower gold that EWolves got earlier in the game are, because they still have towers that they can crack into for enemy and take advantage, whereas EWolves don't. In order for them to take economic advantage from this point forward, they basically have to win team fights. Whereas enemy have lots of avenues that they can use in order to try and make sure that they're gaining an economic rise.
Now here comes the Roshan attempt. Arrow has been thrown onto it, but they are posturing around it. They have Omni Slash up in 14. They've gotten rid of the ward. We'll see whether enemy can get anything done here. As you said, Flying Zebra doing good work with those tracks. He's throwing them out again now. The Rosh is already below half health. They popped the Mirana ult. Slayer actually standing right in the middle there. Isn't quite sure of it, Van. They're going to manage to track him up as well. And this Roshan is going in favor of EWolves. They've picked it up onto the OD. Now here comes the fight. Banana Slam Jam are working on the sidelines, trying to make sure MGod doesn't get anything off. And they get that pick. Now they're going in onto Frozen. Already has been shallow graved up. Where is the Sanity's Eclipse? It's at the ready. You actually see Van canceling it. He was thinking about doing it. He does have that Aegis, so he can keep stealing it if he can. Flying Zebra now taking a lot of damage here, but Van doesn't have a good way of seeing him. And Sovereign on these sidelines taking a lot as well, but he does have that untouchable, which is helping him get out, and it looks like just a 1-for-1. Sovereign will probably fall here. Astral Imprisonment at the ready. Masoku actually using a dust to speed up. Can Van catch up? It's hard. They pop the Shivas. They should be able to know. They can't just get it. And now with the drums, the Astral, the Standing Eclipse, not enough. We're going to be seeing Sovereign get on out.
They tried so hard.
Yeah, that was chasing with your drums. You like the Enchantress had drums, and then there was Van being tracked up, was buffing her speed, and then they throw out the Shivas, and it's just not enough.
The smoke for 1/100th of a second of speed boost. Like that's how bad they wanted it. They were willing to throw smoke at it. Yeah, that fight, every time you exchange even like that for enemy is great. They have, A, they're getting more gold because of the track. B, they're getting more gold because they're down on towers. Every time you kill a hero for a team that is ahead on towers, for every tier 1 that they're ahead, you're gaining like 1% of tower gold. And for every tier 2, it's closer to 3%. So for all of these kills, they're getting close to like a quarter of an extra tower gold stolen away from EWolves coffers.
Oh, now they have the static link coming out from Slayer. He's getting a good amount of stolen damage here, sitting at 91. And with 2 heroes tracked up, they probably want to take this tower first before they do anything. We haven't touched on it too much, but obviously EWolves, they had a big lead. It's almost gone now. For late game, obviously there's an OD in this game and a GA, so it does feel like EWolves maybe have it, but against an Enchantress and a Razor?
Yeah, it's so much about how badly do EWolves want to push and give their opponents a ground advantage, right? So for a lot of these fights, they're just losing while they are ahead. The EWolves are losing from the lead because they are giving their opponents the benefit of advantage on initiation and on placement. I think that as long as EWolves continue to play the way that they're playing, enemy come out with a late game advantage here, regardless of the heroes that are in play. But you know, EWolves could turn it on any second, and then it could be anybody's game. I mean, Witch Doctor, once he gets up in Ags, that's going to be enormous against enemies draft. Like, the Enchantress specifically will have a tremendous amount of difficulty with that. She is not a high armor hero, and she usually relies on Untouchable to stay alive.
Yeah, it's okay. Slayer, speaking of staying alive, in a lot of trouble. There is a shallow grave at the ready from Frozen. Slayer, no, does manage to dodge the arrow. Now just going for the TP out, knowing they don't have much. They even shallow grave just in case. And so a failed gank attempt from EWolves, and as every time these fail, Banana Slam Jam just farming more and more. Suddenly, out of nowhere, Diffusal and Monta up on that guy. Fantastic against this Omni Knight.
Yeah, this is very quickly going to become a situation where EWolves are playing from behind, even though they're up in terms of map control. And they need to be able to utilize that. Honestly, choking out enemy instead of playing into enemies' track pockets, so to speak, and lining their pockets with that track gold. Just refusing to let them farm anywhere outside of their base may be a better course of action to buy some time for the next Roche and to make sure that their OD is catching up on levels, because right now OD's level 14, Juggernaut's level 16, partially because of all the grouping they've done. As I had mentioned before, OD's a very level dependent hero.
Oh my goodness, Van jumping in super deep, trying to blow up Frozen before anything can happen. There's a shallow grave now, Van taking a lot of damage here, but instead it's going to be Razor that falls. And they also managed to pick off the Dazzle. There is going to be Mirana, Moonlit Shadows covering them. Banana Slam Jam is trying to get top tower. They throw out a dust of Flying Zebra. He is in a lot of trouble. He's throwing out shurikens, trying to make sure that nobody is a real pain, but they've already sent home Ewo, and now Van, ready inside of their base, has that Aegis being a real pain. There's not going to be the stun onto Sovereign, but they have got the racks, and Banana Slam Jam are unable to make more happen, so suddenly the pressure up in favor of EWolves, and they want this win. We talked about it earlier, but with this win, they can secure themselves tied with Digital Chaos, and still in contention for the LAN finals.
Yeah, that certainly helps getting that high ground so that they have a leg to lean on, so to speak, here for EWolves is a big step. If they win one more fight, then it would take Major League Baseball levels of throws in order for them to lose the game. But they still need to win that one more fight on the high ground and secure the second racks. One set of racks is just not going to be enough.
Getting the racks probably when this graph settles down, because there weren't too many kills. We'll see, but it should give them a big boost. And right now, we'll see what exactly new items are coming out of them, but it's looking like Banana Slam Jammer is getting low on those diffusal charges, and Sovereign actually almost has the Ags, so Enchantress about to get a nice little power peak.
Yeah, that's certainly going to be a high ground defense.
Oh my goodness, but they have been seen, and Sovereign in a horrible position there. The Coconut's flying out, bouncing between those two, and now Sovereign, Witch Doctor's ult doesn't care about your untouchable. And next up, Slayer trying to get up some Static Link, actually stealing a lot of damage from Van, almost, I guess, 84, and immediately there is a big heal coming out. There's also a nice job with the Crimson Guard, stopping damage being taken. Smash still hasn't been brought down. Now with the Guardian Greaves, has a million armor, literally, and now Banana Slam Jam are going to have to back on out. The arrow goes wide. They're still doing a good job of defending on enemy. And they had to buy back on Sovereign for that. So EWolves may just choose to back on out, but they are tracked up. Can Sovereign find anybody here? Throwing out those impetus strikes. She does a lot. Van does have Astral Imprisonment if he's worried. There's also Purification. Oh, Repel doesn't save his life. Ewo now standing there, taking a lot of damage. Does have that Bristleback passive, but still that's a lot. And now the Shuriken flying through. They just need one little Plasma Field, and it should do good work. But oh goodness, on the sidelines, can they catch anyone? They'll catch God. No uphill miss there. They need more. They used a buyback here for enemy, and they have to find something. Track doesn't work, Masoku, when you are, or Moonlit Shadows doesn't work when you're tracked, and they will lose the Mirana. That might just make it worth it.
Little things here are impressive as well, right? Like Slayer held on to the Plasma Field, expecting the Mirana to be able to leap away, so he could get the Mirana right at the peak of the Plasma Field. Now, granted, Mirana didn't have the leap, but that little bit of restraint that he showed, it's... I like to luxuriate in those moments and really be impressed by some of the decisions these players make.
Yeah, it's also really important to mention that EWolves, they do not have buybacks on the either hero that are down. It does not look like NME want to particularly push in harder, but they had an opportunity there. And soon Razor will have up, I think he's going for a BKB. He could also be going for the Aghanim stuff. And it's just, again, enemy. They're starting to get items flowing into them. Even though they're still a bit behind, it's not nearly what you'd expect, given the lead EWolves had.
It's because the kills that enemy have gotten have been worth much, much more, right? That's basically what it comes down to. They have track working for them. In addition, they are taking kills from an economic disadvantage, which makes all of those kills worth more. For the AoE gold, they've been taking, I think, a couple of sprees and things like that. So even though they are behind in kills and they are behind in towers, the fact is what they have been achieving has been worth more. They also have slightly better CS across their team for equivalence, though. It's really very, very close at this point. It's almost entirely the differential in value is from that AoE gold and from the tracking.
Yeah, they've been doing a really good job. Flying Zebra, we talked about this in the draft, but I was worried about how much work this bounty hunter would have to do. Well, say no more. He's almost got the Vlads up, has Guardian Greaves, which of course is super powerful. When you're below 20% health, it gives you extra 15 armor, 15 health regen, which could just be the difference staying alive against the Bristleback, right?
It's a really good item against back. And also, just once again, throwing it out there for Flying Zebra, he's been involved directly with damage, 10 out of his team's 13 kills. That's not including kills that he just tracked but didn't get a piece of. And he's doing that from a support mode Guardian Greaves rush, right? You didn't get a dig on or something. So a very I think, impressive performance coming out of Flying Zebra.
Now, EWolves, they are getting their bristleback pretty dang huge. Do you think this game, obviously the Crimson God, there's a lot of physical damage coming out. It seems like a good item here, but do you think maybe EWolves would have been served better by going, you know, for the Sanj and Yasha earlier, something more traditional on the bristleback carry?
I think the way he built was fine for the way his team's strategy was intended, right? They wanted to break high ground really early. We saw that. They really just wanted to bust this game out, as is typically their style, before that experience disadvantage that they had fallen into would actually show. And that ended up giving Enemy this leg back into the game, but it was a risk that I think he kind of felt comfortable taking. It allowed him to tank a lot of creep damage, it allowed him to get up into those towers a little more effectively. It just didn't necessarily apply as well into the team fights.
And EWolves are going to get themselves the third Roche of this game. This one, of course, going to drop Cheese. I imagine Smash might end up carrying that for someone. It could also go on Ewo. But Ewo is off doing his own thing up in top lane, so someone might carry it for him. Odie gets the Aegis, and it does look like, oh, actually, Mirana just being Cheese carrier. Cheese carrier.
She's the only one with the slot, so it's gotta be her. Also,
great.
I'm not sure if we mentioned it, but the Lotus Orb did just get finished here on the Omni Knight, so.
Yeah. So Juggernaut has had an opportunity to rebuy that Diffusal Blade, so he is in a good spot. And also has a casual Maelstrom. I think Enemy doing a good job here of itemizing for, hey, we may end up faced by a crap ton of creeps, and also I need to clear them so I can Omni Slash.
As long as they do pick up some Maelstroms, they've actually got a pretty good squad to deal with supers and potentially megas, right? You get a Maelstrom, that's a good carry for Enchantress, it's a good carry for the Juggernaut, it's not awful for the Bounty Hunter. They have a couple of natural holders, and they do have track gold in order to make it so that buying that item won't offset your other itemization by very much.
Now they're gonna have to deal with that double life up on Van. It's a fresh Aegis, so it'll be up for a while, and they have options obviously on EWolves. They can kind of just posture until the bottom lane pushes in, so...
Yeah, this posturing moment is, I think, the right call. Kind of hanging on the high ground and not letting your opponents get out and get stuff done. For EWolves, a lot of what they've been doing is trying to aggress too severely and then losing the fight.
Yeah, so Weave does come out. They're poking away at this tower, doing some good damage on it while we have fun with Zoom. And Banana Slam Jam, he's trying to apply pressure to that bottom lane so that the wave is pushed out. Obviously, you want to buy as much time as possible. You're trying to burn down that Aegis, but I don't think they have 5 minutes here for Enemy, you know?
Yeah, they do if they take a fight.
Oh gosh, Sovereign walks right into the arrow,
geez.
and that's going to let EWolves know that they can play up a little bit. They will not have to worry about the pure damage coming up, but now Van having some of his own damage stolen. BKB shown by the Razor, it's going to be, 112 damage stolen. Can he put out anything else? Oh, nice impetus hit onto Ewo. But again, they're not able to do too much. At the same time, Banana Slam Jammer, we've seen this before. He just pushes while the rest of his team holds, and if he can get a tier 2 here, he might just do what he did on the top lane, getting an early rack.
He's running out of time. Now that the BKB is used on the Razor, this is going to be a charge.
Yeah, Ewo coming in pretty deep. He does have the cheese on him, so he is just zoning all of them. He's doing a good job of that, and now they're coming back and pounding away at the tower. They've already gotten the tower down. Playing Zebra trying to throw out tracks where he can. But what's the little bounty hunter do here? He is getting hit hard too by Van, taking almost an eighth of his health. Now they're starting to turn it around. These impetus shots doing mad work with the range tracks already going down. Ewo eats the cheese at the last second there, and now with achievements flying out from Zen, they're going to pick up Enchantress. No buyback since she used it in the last fight. Slayer does get saved by the shallow grave, but there's just not much they can do there. And even though Banana Slam Jammer got a tower, I'm not sure there's follow-up. He actually goes in, he's spinning around, but he is falling heavily to all of that physical damage, and he can't Omni Slash there. There are too many creeps around, so now they have to work to defend their mid tower. No Enchantress, no help. Banana Slam Jammer still needs to Omni Slash, but there are so many creeps. Somebody has to clear these for him, and it's not going to be Slayer because it's looking like Razor. Shallow Grave up again in a lot of trouble. Frozen's going to go down to the smacks from Van, who has 70 stolen in up here. Banana Slam Jammer tries to spin away, still hasn't used that Omni Slash. He manages to get Guardian Grieved up, saving his life for now. He still needs to find an Omni Slash target, but he just can't. At the very least, the tower isn't down yet, and Van no longer has a BKB, although repels aplenty are coming out. Flying Zebra stunned up there, very low, just enough by Masoku as well, but finally Banana Slam Jam, and no, he's stunned up! He needs to use that Omni Slash, he finally gets it off, he's getting a lot of hits on the Mirana, but she leaps away, and Banana Slam Jam, it just has to spin away. Gem on the deck, no buybacks on the lineup for Enemy. Banana Slam Jam doesn't have one either! And that might just be it.
That is for sure it, yeah. It was a nice attempt from Enemy. They just did not quite window in the way that they needed to, and giving up that third row sealed the deal.
Yeah, just nothing else they could do there. Either way, a really good game from both of these teams. I think Enemy did an excellent job of defending after EWolves really won the early game. And obviously EWolves did eventually find their feet for closing it out. And now they're tied up with Digital Chaos, so they are both 10-1 in their groups, and the rest of the games will have to be what decides whether EWolves or DC will be the one to go to the WePlay LAN.
Yeah, this